Hi, I'm Ed Farris. I'm an extension educator in Huntington County.
Hello, I'm Adam Shanks. I'm an extension educator in Clinton County with Purdue Extension.
And today we are going to discuss the importance of an outlook when thinking of your strategy with grain marketing. So to begin with, we're going to define an outlook. Merriam-Webster says that is a prospect for the future. So thinking of grain marketing, this would combine multiple resources to form a projection for future market moves. This is for the future, and it's based on current and historical information available. The first step is developing a marketing objective by setting realistic goals and using marketing tools that are available to achieve these goals. And you think about revenue, not price. And to define marketing success is not always just obtaining the best price. It's obtaining enough revenue to protect your farm operation. And that's something that a lot of farmers are not always comfortable with, is thinking about, is they always want the best price and not always thinking about what their actual bottom line is. And so that's the first part. And then next, we look at constructing a historical record of marketing performance, because historically, one of the best times to price grain is in the fall and spring. And as we've seen, Adam, now, this is a time of the year when with the fall, we've seen the prices that have held stronger than what maybe they've had in the past. So this is kind of an unusual time. And so this is the thing when you're working on a marketing plan and starting a tracking table to allow you to track your cash, spot market and futures market as a learning experience. And we recommend every Wednesday to find those prices, then complete that table. So
now, are you completing that on a board price or on a local price, or both? What are you tracking?
Both is what would be good to track, and we'll talk a little bit more about basis as we move forward in this presentation. So computer marketing benchmarks, a major factor is the ability to market the grain at profitable margins above the cost. So the first step in using the margins in pricing decisions is to estimate the cost of production. And there are tools that are available out there. The Purdue Center for Commercial Ag has the Purdue Extension Crop Cost and Return Guide that is a very helpful tool to use in completing these cost estimates. We've seen this year how that can really be a good tool, right?
Yeah, we've had a lot of volatility this year, both with input costs and cash marketing prices. So, definitely wanting to track historical points, but looking at this year, you're gonna be looking at things a little differently. So using these tools is definitely going to be beneficial when creating an outlook.
Okay. Next, we want to evaluate marketing performance. It's human nature to attempt to achieve the highest price, and we want to balance that need with risk management. What is your actual risk that you are accustomed to with your operation, and do you really need to step out and really try to find that highest price? And sometimes the marketing signals, you have to really follow those and look at the different marketing tools that are available to evaluate that performance. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But there are some common marketing mistakes. Adam, I know you've had some marketing classes, and the number one thing I remember is fear and greed.
Yep, we want to hit the highest mark every time, and that's just not a realistic thing to do, is it, Ed?
That's right. So, you have the greed of wanting the higher prices, and then the fear of just pulling the trigger, not wanting to make that decision. And so your ego is very important to remember that, you have to make that call at some point. Next, we have to think about the portfolio of these strategies that we're putting together and combating those emotions and indecisions and just by developing a marketing plan. And do you want to talk a little bit then, Adam, about you know, the some of the other things that we might use?
Yeah, so you and then to continue a little bit about your ego and your emotions, the other side of it is once you pull the trigger, you know, to sell some grain, is to not be remorseful. You know, if the next day the price goes up, or the next week the price goes up, you know, feel good about the sale you made. You've obviously made a calculated decision, you know, based on your risk and your revenue needs to market that grain. So don't feel bad about you know, making that sale. You know, don't be remorseful after the fact. But you know, looking at your crop revenue and having insurance, having those tools there for the bank to ensure that you're going to have your risk and your revenues covered is a good tool to have.
That's right. Many lenders would require you to have crop insurance, and knowing those products that you're using is very important. So, and to consider the advantages and disadvantages as well of the marketing tools. There's a great matrix that Iowa State has, and we'll give you a reference to that at the end. But that's something that can be very helpful in thinking through those different portfolios. And then also is just looking at these contracts that are available to help you with marketing your grain, and you know, to find some help with a grain merchandiser is very important as well. But to do your homework, and as I mentioned, using that crop marketing matrix to better understand the range of the tools, thinking how basis and futures prices are moving, that sort of thing. And there is a tool that we have available through Purdue Extension, and it's something that actually has been in place now for a few years, and it's called the basis tool. And you can find it on the Center for Commercial Ag website, and it basically it's good for tracking how that basis is flowing for your local markets. So
yeah, what should we define what a basis is, Ed?
Yes.
So a basis is the difference between the board price and your local cash price, and a strengthening basis is a difference that is lower, a smaller difference between the board price and the cash price is a strong basis. That means that the local elevator wants your grain. A weakening basis is a greater difference between the board price and your local cash price. That means they're maybe not as inclined to take the grain at that point. And that basis tool tracks that historical difference, so you can kind of look at the time of year where that's historically been a strong basis, and maybe use that as one of your marketing indicators when you're doing your outlook planning.
Yes, and so again, that does track that historical for both corn and soybeans, and so that will be very helpful as you're preparing that marketing plan. So again, these are some resources we've already mentioned. But we do encourage you to go ahead and look through those to help you as you're making these decisions and preparing your outlook. Thank you.